All right, what's up guys? Thanks for tuning in. Running 3 minutes late as always because technical stuff and things. Let me start with what I carried today. At least so there's stuff on the table. Okay. What else? Hey guys. All right. So just getting out what I carried today. We'll do the, what I carried / what's new, and then we'll jump into stuff and things. So, let's see. I typed up a bunch of notes because I asked people for, kind of what they wanted me to talk about on Instagram. And let me check real quick to see if there were any other last minute notes or questions or things. Now it looks like I'm up to date on all the questions from this post, so good there. And then let me check on YouTube, see if there's any new questions on there. Okay, nope, no new questions on there. All right, so here we go. So Bad Rattle saying he almost bought an SM100 channeler that was for sale on Instagram. That would be nice. I'm a big fan of Clyde Challinor's work. So, yeah, what's in my pockets today? We'll start with that. Let's see, what I'm drinking tonight. A little kombucha. My throat's pretty raw. I'm not sure why. I think maybe I was almost getting sick, but I think I have avoided it, thankfully. Oh, that one's a good flavor. Okay. So this is what I carried today. This is new. We'll talk about that in a second, but let's start with the blade. So I carried the Clyde Challinor Talon today. This one has a Damascus inlay, damasteel blade. It uses his proprietary pivot. Now the cool thing about this pivot is that you can actually use a flathead screwdriver in there, so you don't need any special tools. And that is that's really, really cool. So has a Damascus pocket clip, a stainless steel lock insert, runs on bearings, and it's really smooth, really good size, 3.25 inches. I put a video up on this one quite a while ago, but certainly enjoy carrying this one. And the opening hole works for, various opening methods, which is pretty cool. So if you guys don't know who Clyde Challinor is, he is on Instagram and he has a website, but he's one of my favorite custom makers and he's out of South Africa. So that was the knife in my pocket today. The pen, the ZT0010Ti, discontinued, and as far as I'm aware, they've also discontinued all of the aluminum pens. So if the prices drop at dealers on any ZT pen, I would highly recommend that you guys go in and pick up several. I have 2 titaniums, 1 aluminum, and if the prices go down because they've discontinued the aluminums, I think they're $100 regular, but if they go down to like, I don't know, $60 or something, I will probably pick up at least 2 more of the aluminum ZT pens, and I would, again, recommend do it. Definitely do it. So let's see. Soon asked, how's the damasteel on this one? Damasteel is a fully stainless powdered metallurgy type steel from Sweden, Switzerland. I don't remember where it's from now, but damasteel is certainly one of the best of the Damascus steels. Really good performance. I mean, I haven't used this thing to its utmost potential. As you can see, it's kind of a dressier piece. But really good performance is what I have heard, and I mean I haven't had to really sharpen this one yet. It still has a really good edge and I've had it for months, so maybe you guys will say I don't use it enough. Other people say it's really good steel. Whatever. Boss 35 flashlight. I love this flashlight. Really, really good light. Watch is the Steinhardt Atmos 30. This thing is massive. This is a massive, massive watch. quite heavy, quite large. I think it's 44 millimeters, but just the thickness on this thing is, I don't know, it's got to be like, what, 14 or something? Where are my calipers? It's a fatty watch. Let me measure it and try not to scratch it with the metal calipers. Let's go millimeters. Yeah, it's like 14.7 millimeters thick, which is pretty freaking thick for a watch. But again, I like it. I've got 7.5-inch wrists, and so that's how it wears. It works for me, but this is at the very large end, or the very high end of what I'll wear. So let's see if we can get up close. It's pretty nice. German company, Swiss made. Swiss movement, probably an ETA, I think, is, if I recall correctly, and then they have had just enough of the cost of assembly or production in Switzerland that they can give it the Swiss made moniker. So that's a whole different barrel of fun right there. Swiss made versus not. All right. So that is what and then, my phone, Fitbit, Alta. And then the ring I'm wearing is a damasteel ring, also made by Clyde Challinor. So this is the ring that I wear the most. But as you can see, it's all matchy-matchy, which is pretty cool. So, yeah. All right. What do we have going on in the comments? So that's what I carried, and then this is new. So I'm going to leave this out and show you guys kind of what is new. At least I didn't get a lot of stuff in the last 2 weeks, which is probably good. Soon asked for the price point on the ring. He doesn't really offer these. This was something special that he did. He doesn't make the rings on the norm, so yeah, I'm not sure you're going to be able to get one. My apologies, I guess. So yeah, all right. Let's see what came in that was new. Oh, a couple things. So this is from Das Offenmeer leather. This is the Hoy Bay, and this is, what was I carrying before? I was carrying the Nimitz before, so this was my wallet previously, also from Offenmeer. It's got stuff and fluff in it, and so this one is basically, it's his gun deck wallet, but it has extra piece of leather, so you get like a back pocket, and it's got more pockets on the inside, so it's kind of a larger or more pocket version of his gun deck. Well, he just released a version called the Topsider, which is this lovely, lovely wallet right here. And kind of the premise is that you can put bills in and, have the bills completely flat and then like so. But I do like extra pockets on the back for, my debit card, since I prefer to use my debit card and cash is just for emergency purposes. So this is the Hoy Bay, if I'm saying that correctly, and this is the Topsider. So as you can see, it's got an extra piece of leather throughout that gives it an extra pocket on the inside, and and then an extra pocket on the back. And let me grab my cash and show you guys how this is supposed to work. Okay. So this is the way that the wallet is kind of like supposed to work. And you can put cash like so, and then when you close it, your cash is in there, and you open it up and you've readily, got your cash available. Now, since I only use cash for emergency purposes, I, again, just some 20s, then I put it down in here like so. But what's kind of cool is that this gives you, kind of fans the cards out essentially, which makes them a little bit easier to access than in the horizontal configuration. So I don't know, there's pros and cons to each design, but I definitely love the red and the black on this Hoy Bay. It is quite striking. Obviously the green and whiskey, I think this is called whiskey right here, is a little bit more traditional looking, and then I mean, that's a super clean look. So anyways, these are some different wallets from Das Offene Mir, or Offene Mir Leather. You can follow or find him on, I think, Etsy and Instagram primarily. So, yep. So that was new. Let's move those out of the way. Show you guys the other new stuff that I got this week. One of which is the Gent, and this is a model from, there's actually 3 people in this collaboration. So Massdrop, it was the, I guess, company / platform that sold it and also initiated this model, or I commissioned it, I guess is the correct term. And it was designed by Ferrum Forge, and then it was built by We Knives in China. So 3 different partners to this project. But what interested me most about this knife, and I think I ordered it maybe like back in November or December of last year, whenever the drop was going on. And if you guys don't know what Massdrop is, it's basically like a group buy website. So you commit to an order, they see what the lowest price point they can get is based on the number of commitments, and then they do a, kind of do a drop or do a sale, and you prepay, and it takes a couple months to get the items, whether it's like knives, audio stuff, other everyday carry stuff. They've got a lot of different things that they do. But anyway, so this was $80, and it has S35VN steel, has G10 either scales or covers, whatever you want to call them, titanium liners. I think they described it as a titanium frame lock with covers almost, or you can look at it as just a liner lock, whatever you want. It does run on bearings, and it's a really nice knife for $80. I mean, this is, I'm really impressed. I think it's a really cool piece. So yeah, that's the Massdrop Gent. Very, very nice. I like it. I'll do a video on this one soonish. But I don't know. I think it's a really cool piece for introducing people to knives. Maybe getting people who don't already carry a knife into something that's actually really nice for the price point. The problem is, if you're getting new knife buyers into something like this, you're gonna have to spend a lot more money to get something comparable with materials and quality and so forth. So I don't know. It might be setting somewhat unrealistic expectations in the market today, but I mean, at least it's a start, right? Not bad. So did any of you guys end up getting the Massdrop Gent as well? Yay or nay in the comments, let me know. And if so, do you like it? I've only heard good things from the people who also got it so far. I haven't heard any negatives, and yeah, so pretty cool piece. All right, the other new piece that I got this week was the ZT-0200. This thing is ridiculous. I mean, this is a huge knife. Pretty interesting ergonomics. Basically, a friend of mine wanted a pen that I had, and I said, okay, what do you have to trade? And he gave me a list of things, and I never got into like the old school overbuilt Canyon design ZTs. So I figured, yeah, why the hell not? I'll give it a shot here and see if I like it. And it's interesting. I will say that I'm glad that ZT moved away from, these monster-sized knives, because it's a very specific audience, who buys and carries knives that are this big and this heavy. So let's look at the weight. I've never looked at the specs on this thing. I mean, this was pretty much like a whim. So zero this thing out. How many ounces? 7.96, so we'll call it 8 ounces. Stainless steel liners. What are these? G10, very heavily textured G10 scales here. Some cool things, the pivot is captured, that hexagonal shape, and it fits in there pretty damn snug. I had to get a punch and kind of beat the thing out to get it out initially. And this blade steel is what, 154 cm. As you can tell, this thing's been loved over the years, but it runs on washers, runs on Foster Brown's washers, but to be honest, it's really, really smooth. But, you know, given the fact that the knife is probably 5 years old, this thing is completely worked in or completely broken in. So, pretty cool. You know, it's good to check stuff like this out and try it out. You know, just kind of get a feel for it. So then it uses the hex pivot there, the hex bolt. So yeah. Anyways, you know, I'm not going to go actively seek other models in this, you know, in this genre like the 300 or the 350 or any of those. But yeah, I don't know, it's fun. It's definitely a fun piece to try. I don't think ZT, if they had stuck with this like overbuilt military stuff, they would not be as successful as they are today. And a lot of people keep trying to or wanting to push them back to this stuff, but you know, the whole, you know, genre of overbuilt military knives, like it's kind of dead in the water. When Medford has to start making smaller, like more realistic knives, you know that market's dead. So yeah. But anyways, fun to check out. You know, really glad that I did, and yeah. The only recent knife they tried to build that was kind of along the same lines was that Les George 0909, if I'm getting the number correct. That thing was you know, a G10 liner lock, a really big knife too, and that one got discontinued after like a year. So, you know, obviously it wasn't selling well. But I mean, these things are out there. You can, you know, find them for reasonable prices if you want, you know, something like this. You guys can see how curved that handle is. It kind of forces you into like one specific grip. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think I'm more partial to like neutral grips, ones that aren't, you know, don't force your hand in as much of a specific location, I guess. So I don't know, maybe with enough time, like I'd really warm up to it, but it's certainly larger than you need, and yeah, I don't know. It's cool. So let's see. So Halden said the 0220. Now that has a sweet ZT recurve. Yeah, I mean, you know, again, kind of along the same lines, but more practical would be like the newer, what is that, a Jens Onzo design, the ZT0220, as Halden mentioned. So I like that knife a lot. I think it has better ergos than this one, and this thing is kind of a pocket shredder. You know, it's gonna jack up your jeans after a while. Much smaller clip than they use these days, so subtle branding, which, you know, would make a lot of, I don't know, a lot of you happier potentially. So yep. Let's see, what else do we have going on. I think that's it for the new stuff. Just the new wallet and then the two knives. I have some prototypes in, but I can't show you guys those yet. There will be videos on those soonish though, so some new prototypes. All right, should we jump into questions that people asked, or should I go into whatever's in the Barney box from Blade HQ? I'll let you guys decide. Random activity said CRKT Pizzoda. I have no idea what that is. I'd have to look that up. I'm not the biggest CRKT fan. Not that there's anything wrong with the brand. It's just I like stuff that's a little bit nicer. All right, so it looks like the Barney box is getting the vote from the first 3 comments here. Yeah, first 4 comments. So Logan, Soon, X95, Connor's dad, and Sweet Richard Sweetheart. All want the Barney box. So let's see what they put in it. Okay, everyone wants the box. No one cares about other people's questions. Fair enough. So I actually went down to Blade HQ earlier this week, and they ended up giving me a knife I'd already done a video on, and it turned out to be the Olamic Swish. So I went back, and they put a different knife in the box. I don't know what it is yet, so again, the premise is Blade HQ throws a random knife into this box. I have no idea what it is, and then we find out together, and then we can talk about it. So let's see what we have in the box. All right. So here's Barney, and he is hiding whatever knife Blade HQ sent me this week. Trying to feel it. There's some weird texturing at the back. Pocket. I have no. If I had to guess, is this a Rockstead? I'm feeling some ray skin. Oh, it is a Rockstead. The ray skin gave it away. Whew, I'm good. Now you guys will say that I looked, but I did not. But I mean, no one else has the ray skin, right? Ah. I do like Rocksteads. They're so bloody expensive, but oh my goodness. They're like the, I don't know, like Chris Reeve of Japan on steroids type of knives. You know? You guys agree or disagree? Oof. So let's take a look at this thing. Oh, I want this. But I don't want this. That ray skin texture, I don't know, it's just cool. It's very cool. So these, like, they're pretty smooth out of the box, but these things get ridiculously smooth. I mean, you know, the blade finish is essentially, first they polish it, and then they coat it. And this one has, like, a black DLC reflective coating. I mean, I don't think my camera is doing this justice, if I'm, you know, if I'm completely honest. Oh, it feels so good in the hand. Lord have mercy. I like this thing. My friend Nick, he's got a Rockstead. He dropped it on the ground the other day and he like damaged the frame. And someone made the comment, at least it wasn't a custom, but in reality it's far, far worse because he's going to have to ship it back to Japan to get fixed. And I don't know what the shipping costs Japan, but I guarantee that's going to be freaking expensive, especially if you insure it, which is, you know, you probably want to insure it. So, yep. This one's a good little size though. Where's my, let me pull the, here we go. Where's my Clyde Challinor? These two should be pretty comparable in size. And to be honest, I'm guessing these two are pretty comparable in price as well. So Blade HQ is nice enough to give me a spec sheet. Oh, yes, which makes my life much easier. All right, so this one's actually a little less expensive than the Challinor, to be honest. So 3-inch blade. And Rockstead uses some really interesting steel. So apparently the cow, it's DLC coated. Oh yeah, they use the YXR7 blade, and I think the Rockwell on this is like out of control high. It's not listed here. It'd be like on the specs in the box because these Rocksteads comes with like a, you know, like a warranty or birth card, kind of like the Chris Reeve Sebenzas do, but it lists like the individual Rockwell hardness of your knife because they test it, and it's like, if any of you guys remember like what it is, it's like freaking ridiculously expensive. So, yeah. So Wolf Sven said they always put knives they want you to buy. Yes, Blade HQ are evil, evil people. They always put knives in the box that I want to freaking buy, and I do need a Rockstead at some point. I didn't, you know, I haven't thought about Rockstead in a while, but this one is very, very cool. So, you know, people are asking like, you know, this is a really, really expensive knife, and it is. You know, Rockstead knives are ridiculously expensive. Is it merited? Maybe. You know, I mean, the thing is, like, the amount of work that goes into a Rockstead is like insane. I mean, to get a full polish on this blade steel is pretty freaking difficult, you know, especially when they have the hardness as high as they do. Now, there are blade steels that are probably more difficult to get a polish on, but I mean, there's certainly a lot of work in these, and this thing is so smooth already. And I apologize for the fingerprints. Oh, wow. That's really smooth, guys. Like, it's way smoother out of the box than like a Chris Reeve Sebenza, to be honest. I can't remember if this is real ray skin or if it's just like a textured inlay. Do any of you guys recall what it is? Ergos are really nice too. And then look at the seam or lack thereof on the back of the knife. I mean, yeah, these things are expensive, but they have a ton of work in them. Are they still overpriced? Probably, you know. It's smooth. It's really smooth. And these things run on washers as well. I think they're phosphor bronze. But again, I'm not taking this knife apart. So, you know, you just don't take random screwdrivers to $900 knives that are not your own. Oh, it's smooth. I apologize, but I'm having a moment here. Yeah, it's really nice. It feels really, really good. Tom says it better be ray skin for 900 bucks. Ah, good. Future Rust and Dust said it is real ray skin. Which, you know, that, I mean, that's just cool. I mean, you know, they're tapping into that Japanese heritage. They're putting ray skin on the knives. I mean, I respect that from I don't know, a concept standpoint. So, yeah, but I definitely want one of these. I want this one. It's already here, right? I mean, it's already with me. We're getting to know each other. We're having some quality time while you guys all watch. I mean, oh. Another thing they do really, really well, you guys see that lock bar, how it's kind of stepped there, and then it's exposed? This thing is so comfortable to disengage. I mean, another company that does the, you know, disengagement or the lock bars really well is the Shirogorov 111. That has a similar type of kind of stepping or milling and exposure on the lock bar. And the Shirogorov 111 are honestly a joy to, I don't want to say to fidget with, but to disengage, as weird as that sounds. This and the Shiro 111 kind of have that in common as far as the lock bar and so forth. It's, oh, this is nice. This is really nice. It's freaking ergonomic too. It feels really good in my hand. Again, my glove size is extra large, and ew, I'm bleeding. My skin's been really dry. Don't judge me. I try not to bleed all over the knife. So, oh my goodness. Oh, I'm going to put that down. Look at the comments here. So, don't encourage me, you people. Okay. Random Activity asked, are Schrade folding knives like the Schrade 5B good? I'm going to be honest, I have never bought a Schrade. I don't plan on buying a Schrade. I just, you know, I'd rather spend more money and get something nicer than like throw 20 bucks at something and like cross my fingers that it's not a piece of crap. So if you guys buy Schrade, now there are some Schrades, like some Schrade fixed blades that people really like. And again, if you own a Schrade and you like it, more power to you. I just have zero interest in Schrade knives. So if that makes me kind of a dick, then that it does. Okay, so still expensive for the size. Yep. A lot of people are just saying the knife is really expensive. And again, I'm not going to argue with you guys. Like a $900 production knife, like that's expensive, right? There's no question about it. Is it one of the best production knives you'll ever handle? Yeah. I mean, it's really up there, you know, with the fit and the finish, and it's really up there. So, you know, again, my thing is like, you don't have to own every single knife to appreciate it or to enjoy it. There are a lot of knives that I don't want to buy, but I absolutely love having the opportunity to handle them, like at knife shows. So Blade Show, the last Blade Show, I handled like 3 different Stan Wilson non-flipper flippers. If you guys know what those are just insane, but they're like $5,000 like table price. I'm not going to drop $5 grand on a knife anytime in the near future, but I still absolutely appreciate them and really enjoyed handling it, but I don't need to own it to enjoy it. And there's a lot of knives I don't need to own to enjoy. So, yeah. You know, so my hope is you guys will just get to handle stuff, you know, at some point. I mean, if you guys go down to Blade HQ, if you're ever in Utah, you can handle anything they have in inventory. And that is quite a lot of stuff. And I remember I went down there one time before they knew who I was or cared who I was. And I asked to see a $3,000 knife that they had to go into their walk-in safe to get. And they went and got it for me, like no questions asked. They weren't like, hey, you know, give me your credit card first and I'll go get it for you. So you know, if you're ever in Utah, you know, stop by Blade HQ, make a list of like these really expensive knives that you don't plan to buy but really want to experience, and try them out. Or any other knife shop that might, you know, carry stuff like this. Go in and try it out. Again, you don't have to own it to appreciate and to enjoy it. So, I mean, that's my thing. So hopefully that's your thing too. Okay. Why would you with the quality of customs on the market? So Tom asked, why would you pay $900 when there's quality of custom knives on the market? I'm going to say that very, very few custom makers can execute at this quality level. Again, custom knives do not equate to quality. There are a lot of crappy custom knives, and there's some custom knives that are semi-decent, but they just can't execute to, like, you know, the 1/1000th of an inch or, you know, aero grade space type of tolerances stuff. Production knives like this can do it. Production knives like the Chris Reeve can do it. I mean, the human eye and the human hand can only do so much. Machines can do it better. So again, you know, don't discount a knife just because it's production. You might discount it for the price. You don't want to pay that. That's fine. But production knives have better fit and finish than custom knives. I don't know, 8 times out of 10, the majority of the time by far. So, okay. So X95 MK220, we need to find a better name. It just said S90V is really difficult to get a mirror finish with. I've heard that too. Some of the tool steels, I think it's like impossible. Yeah. Whoa. Okay, let me catch up on the comments. Okay. Okay, everyone's telling me to buy it. Schrade, major budget beater. Okay. Luke Luke is commiserating with me about not wanting to buy Schrades. So how does it measure to the action of a ZT450? So this isn't as fast, but it's smoother. And here's the hard thing. You cannot explain and you cannot experience the smoothness of a knife through a video. Even if I tried my best to explain it, I can't tell you guys how smooth this is. But like when I'm moving this blade, I feel no resistance, no grittiness. You know, I feel nothing at all. It's, you know, it's, I don't even know what to compare it to. I have a few other knives that are this smooth where you just get like no friction whatsoever. And it feels like, I don't know, like, again, a marble on glass or something, you know, or whatever you want to use to describe it. I felt Sebenzas that were this smooth after a couple of years and a lot of use, but like right out of the box, like this is by far one of the smoothest knives I've ever felt. And again, when you mirror polish the blade, and I'm guessing they probably mirror polish the washers, I mean, you're starting off on the right foot, so... Yeah, it's smoother than... I'm trying to think if there's a knife that I currently have that is this smooth. I've got a couple, like my Craig Brown Servo. That knife is equally as smooth, but the thing will like drop shut like a guillotine too. So I mean, there's just no feeling of friction whatsoever. So I mean, again, you have to handle a lot of knives and you have to handle them side by side to really tell the difference. It's not something that like a normal person would pick up on, but when you are a little bit psychotic with regard to knives, then again, you can start to tell the difference. I'm sure audiophiles can get into some really crazy discussions on, you know, X number of headphones versus the other, and they all sound the same to me, so yeah. Okay, have you ever gotten into a Spyderco conversion dual action? I've handled the Butch Valaton dual action or whatever, double action, whatever that is, with the hidden tab. The problem is I'm kind of done modifying production knives. I've thrown away way too much money. I'm just kind of done. Unless I know for sure it's an absolute keeper, and I have a few of those, but you know, I'd rather just pick up a new knife than, you know, throw a bunch of money at one knife that I already have. So let's see. Battle Rattle is saying he's not a fan. and he would rather spend the money on a different knife. And you know, again, that's totally cool. I don't have a Rockstead in my collection yet because of the cost. Do I want one? Yeah, but you know, even for me, $900 on a production knife is pretty hard to swallow. But I mean, if you do have the money, I would not say you shouldn't try it. I mean, I would, again, try it in person if you can first, and then, I mean, that's in a perfect world, right? Try everything in person first. But this is fantastic. And then the other thing too is these guys do a zero grind. I think it's called. I think this is referred to. I mean, it's somewhere between a Scandi and a zero, but so Rockstead, if you guys ever go to like the knife shows, they do these crazy cut tests where they're going through like phone books and stuff to show just how sharp their knives are. And, you know, again, this is a fantastically sharp knife. And if it's just like in your rotation with a bunch of other knives, chances of you needing to sharpen this is years and years down the line with as hard as they get this. The problem is with that like zero edge, if you do need to sharpen it, like good freaking luck. Like it's going to need to go back to Japan, because I don't know anyone in the US who can sharpen these properly without putting a secondary bevel on the edge. And you know, if you're fine with that, that's cool. But like this zero grind is one of the things that makes a Rockstead. So the moment you remove that, like you're going to take a hit in value. Like a Rockstead with a secondary bevel, like half the price probably if you go to sell it, but it just kind of takes away from the specialness. I don't know. Hopefully you guys are kind of picking up what I'm trying to put down here, but yeah. Whoa. All right, let me catch up here on the comments real quick. Don't drop it like, yeah. Luckily if I drop it, I mean, we're talking like a 6-inch drop here onto some wood, so I think we'll be okay. My buddy Nick dropped his on concrete and he like messed up one of the edges here. Luckily the blade was okay. I mean, because again, with this with the hardness on this thing, I mean, I don't know how it would, if you drop the blade on concrete, I just don't know if it's gonna like chip madly or something. Again, the higher the hardness, the more brittle the blade becomes. So I haven't seen anyone drop these. If there's like a multi-millionaire out there and you want to do some drop tests with Rocksteads, I support your endeavors. So, okay. So Donnie Gonzalez asked if I would say that ZT is a high quality production. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ZT sets the bar for high quality production for me personally. So, yes. Tom Wilby said he would rather have a Grimsmo Rask at the same price as this, but he understands that you're paying for the blade quality / mirror finish. I mean, yeah. Again, Rockstead is one of the few people who can do like these insane like mirror polished DLC blades. I guess Microtech kind of does them too, but in terms of quality, like Rockstead versus Microtech, they're vastly different quality levels, you know, by and large. So and I think that stuff like this with Microtech, you're going to be like $3,000 deep, maybe up to $5,000 deep to get, you know, some of these types of, you know, finishes and features, at least as far as I can remember. So so Luke was just saying you can strop this thing on like denim or whatever and try to keep the edge in line, but you know, again, any service issues, it needs to go back to Japan, because there's just really no one in the States who can work on this or modify this that I know of. So okay. So X95 MK220 says, why don't I have a Grimsmo in my collection? No reason in particular. I just have, you know, I've never met them in person, and I have, you know, other people who I met and, you know, who I'm friends with, and, you know, they do similar type of things like Craig Brown, and so I, you know, with limited funds, I'm going to support the people that I really like as people, and I also don't want to pay, you know, the direct price for a Grimsmo. I mean, they're getting pretty expensive these days, but I've handled them. It just, you know, didn't really call to me as much as some other knives. So nothing wrong with them. You know, again, they're great knives. Just I don't know. I can't own everything, unfortunately. So, okay, what do we have? How close to the Arius is it? The Arius is also incredibly smooth, but it is, you know, it's got a different feel because it runs on bearings. And so, you know, when you disengage the lock bar, that thing is, you know, sliding down on its own weight. This one, so smooth, guys. I wish you could experience this. And it's going to get smoother too. I mean, after a number of cycles, which is crazy to think, but it seems the machining they do, the finishing they do, I mean, this is Rockstead definitely makes beautiful knives. So not the most exciting clip, but very functional, and it matches the blade, which is cool. So some jimping up top, you guys can see the camera and so forth. I mean, that is a highly reflective blade. The ergonomics are just really, really nice with kind of the cutout they have here for the finger, which transitions to that beautiful fanning. I mean, it's, and the ray skin provides texture too. So, I mean, it's really nice. I'm really glad they put this one in the Barney box for me to check out. It's nice to spend times with Rockstead. So let's see what else we got going on. All right. So Mr. Gearbear is saying every foreign company should have a rep in the U.S. make service as easy as possible, essentially. Yeah, I mean, it depends on how much of your market is in the U.S. I mean, if you have a really large market in the U.S., then yeah, ideally you make it as easy as possible for customers, because having to ship to Japan, that's a barrier to purchase. You know, price is one thing. You know, fit and finish, there's no barriers to fit and finish on this, but price is a barrier, shipping is a barrier, service is a barrier. So, you know, if you eliminate those barriers, people are more likely to buy the knife, which is why companies like, as Mr. Gearbear pointed out, We Knives has a rep in the U.S., Riot Knives has a rep in the U.S., Shirogorov has a rep in the U.S. if you've bought directly through that rep, which is Recon 1. So, you know, those overseas companies that have a really large market here in the U.S., like, they definitely understand. One thing that I'd be curious to know is how well these sell in Japan versus the U.S. You know, obviously Japan is a very ethnocentric country. Like the Japanese population versus foreigners is something like crazy, like 98% Japanese versus 2% foreigners. So it's a country that has a lot of national pride, especially in things Japanese. And so I wonder if these sell well in Japan, or if they're even allowed in Japan. I don't really know anything about the knife laws in Japan at all, but you know, I'd be curious to know, like, what their percent sales is of Japan versus the US. That'd be kind of an interesting discussion. So let's see. So Zach asked what I think of Microtech as a brand after last year's controversies. I sold off on my Microtechs. I currently don't own any, so that's what I think about it. Okay. Looks like the exposed blade tang. I don't know what you mean about that. So, anyways, what do you guys have any additional questions on this one? I mean, oh man, I don't want to give this one back. This one is very, very nice. It's getting smoother already. I like this a lot. A lot. So, yes, that is the Rockstead Cow DLC, and then here is the Blade HQ model number. If you want to go put that on your wish list, just in case you win the lotto, right? Just in case. I have a couple things on my wish list, just in case. So, all right. So let's go to the questions. So there were a couple questions that people posed on Instagram and on YouTube. Let me check YouTube, see if that's updated with any new questions from you guys real quick. think they were just... Nope, no new questions on YouTube. So go to Instagram, see if there's any new questions there real quick. Nope, no new questions on Instagram. All right, perfect. So the questions that you guys asked, and let's put some stuff out. Some additional knives. Some of these were by request. Okay, so speak of the devils, Riot, Wee Knives. This is Peter Carey, and then we'll just leave this out so I can spend as much time. I really want to put this in my pocket, but I really don't want to like damage or scratch it if it's going back to Blade HQ, but I want it in my pocket. So, okay. So people are asking what happened with Microtech. So there's a number of things that happened with Microtech. I mean, Microtech kind of got into it with Kai USA or Zero Tolerance. I don't really care about that, but what they did do is they did sue Anthony Scolambrini for slander, I think, against, based on an article he wrote. Anyways, they sued him. They took, and he's the guy at Everyday Commentary. I've been a fan of his for a very long time, and so when you sue someone for an article they wrote, you know, an opinion piece, granted his wording may have been a little bit strong, but it just kind of turned me off for the brand, so I don't own any Microtechs. Yeah. Not that that says anything about the quality of their knives or anything, it's just I don't really like the way that things shook out, so I don't have, I just don't have any Microtechs in my collection anymore. The pieces I did have were like the limited editions they do at like SHOT Show, the USN show, so they were kind of collector pieces for me personally since I was at the shows and I bought them there, but c'est la vie. You guys can Google all that mess if you wanna look into it. The information's out there. So anyways, Wugga Wugga 82, that's a fun name, asked what I think of the announcement of a West Coast Blade show in Portland. I don't know, it's cool. I mean, the problem is, so I was talking to some friends about the additional announcements of knife shows. So there's the West Coast Knife Show in Portland, and apparently there's going to be another knife show in Vegas the same weekend as Tactical Knife Invitational. And for me, like, I only go to 2 shows right now, which is Blade Show and the USN show. Like, you know, time, money, and energy-wise, like, that's all I want to devote each year. To, you know, knife stuff and my hobbies. I mean, I primarily go to see my friends, and, you know, it doesn't hurt to be at a knife show with a lot of cool knives too. But most of the stuff that I buy isn't really at knife shows. It's just, you know, from a custom maker or from a dealer or whatever. So I don't necessarily need to go to the knife shows, but it's fun. I'm not going to start going to more shows though. I mean, here's the thing, like, if you live in closer to Portland, then yeah, it's going to be a huge benefit if it's a good show, but I don't know. I'm kind of tapped with 2 shows a year. A lot of my other friends are kind of tapped with just a couple shows a year. So you know, the other thing too is like a lot of these knife shows are geared towards custom knives, and custom makers can only make so many knives a year, while, you know, for shows and dealing with their custom order books, you know, so custom knife makers have to try to work through their book, get through customers' orders, people have been on the books for a couple of years, as well as have knives for the knife shows. And some of the knife shows, they have minimums like, hey, if you're going to come to the show, we expect you to have, you know, at least 6 knives or something for your table. That way, it, you know, it's a good show for the people coming. There are more chances of them getting a custom knife. And, you know, knife makers, a lot of whom are already tapped with current shows. So adding more shows, does that necessarily mean like more opportunities to get custom knives? Like, not necessarily. I mean, if you're going to a custom knife show and they don't have good makers, or the makers can't really bring in any inventory, then the show's going to suck. So I don't know. I'm indifferent on more shows coming about. I'm not planning on going to more. So yeah. Nick's made a good comment. I won't repeat it, but sure. Okay. Gamma Rabers asked, what do you think of the Booze Blaze Mini Arrow? Looks nice. Wee Knives, who produced it, does really good work, so I'm sure it's great. Okay. All right, so one of the questions that came up on Instagram was who was it? It was Will's Pointy Things asked me to show off the Peter Carey Nitro 50/50. And I think he did that because he was getting his like today or tomorrow. So if you guys aren't aware, this is from custom knife maker Peter Carey. And the reason it's called a 50/50 is because this one is, you know, a mid-tech, if you want to call it that, even though that term doesn't really mean anything, but part machine done, part hand done. So this one is not a full custom from Peter Carey, you know, but it's still exceptionally nice, and the action is explosive and smooth, and it sounds wonderful, and oof, it's a really nice knife. So yeah, Peter Carey Nitro 50/50, I mean, among his knives, this is the least expensive because of the fact that it's, you know, not completely handmade, which is why I wanted this one, because it was more reasonable in terms of price than his other stuff, and his other stuff has can get really crazy in pricing and really crazy on the secondary market. So really, really nice. I really like this piece. Chased this one for quite a while because I didn't want to overpay for it. So there's the 50/50 Nitro. Okay. And yes, I'll do a video on this one later, you know, kind of talk about it, talk about the story. Again, it's my left hand, and I'm not left-handed, and so you guys, okay. So you guys can see this thing just flips that well. So yeah, I'll do a video on this one later. It's on the list. But I don't know, other stuff always comes up. I mean, it's hard to show you guys stuff that like is really impossible to get or super expensive if you do find it. So they always end up at the back of the bucket list for videos. Okay. So Gamma Rayburst asked if I've ever checked out North Arms Skaha. Nope, don't even know what that is. All right. So one of the other questions that came up, who is it from? Oh shoot, I didn't write down the person's name. I apologize. I did not write down the person's name, but they wanted to know, move that out of the way, I don't want to. You know, Todd Begg, so this is part of the Todd Begg Steelcraft series, which means that, you know, production versions of, there's a couple different levels, but these are the production versions. So this is the Glimpse 7.0 made by We Knives. This is the Bodega made by Riot Knives. They're both in S35 VN. They both run on bearings, and I really like them both. Which one though? So a couple things. One, the We Knives is actually smoother than the Bodega, which, you know, not the most important thing, but everyone watching this is a fanatic, so you guys will want to know that. You know, you've got the quintessential fuller with the holes. This one has black coating on the inside. This one doesn't. Where's the blade stock? Looks like the Bodega is a bit thicker. This one has a rounded spine here towards the back. I mean, this is a really interesting piece. Stylistically, I'm not sure it's for everyone, and it's pretty thick too, but I quite like this one a lot. It's I mean, it's a really good knife. Like We Knives, when they do their in-house stuff, they do a really good job, but when they do, you know, other people's production stuff like these, they really kill it. Not sure if that's flat or hollow. It's probably flat. I don't think they do hollow. Kind of a hollow into a flat, I guess. But anyways, the fit and the finish is superb. A little bit thick, but just really good in the hand. Very comfortable. You've got your Begg style clip. And then you guys can see how the back spacer kind of fits into the handle here, kind of like a puzzle. That's some pretty precise machining in there, if you guys can see that. So it's really, really well done. It's a cool piece. This was one of the ones from Blade Show, which is why it's number, what, first run of 100. Now, the interesting thing is, like, this says first run of 100, which you guys think, oh, that's really cool. Well, the reason that Begg Knives did that is because the second run, they actually made tweaks to the first run. They smoothed out the liner lock a little bit more, so it's less, you know, they deburred it a bit more. They knocked off the 90-degree edge here on the inside of the G10. So actually the second run was improved over the first run, and they're not really big things. Maybe you guys wouldn't even care, but you know, Todd Begg and Begg Knives, Mark over there, they cared, and so those minor tweaks were done on the second run, which in theory makes it a better build overall. The Riot Knives Bodega has obviously a lot more machine work. Like, look at the handles here. They had to, you know, there's like different finishes. Like, I think this is a bead blast underneath here, and then this was like, maybe this was the bead blast and this was a satin finish. Yeah, I think like bead blast, satin finish. They covered the entire thing, and then they had to come in and kind of remove the material to give it a polished look around the edges. I mean, there's a lot of machine work in this handle, and it's really, really well done. Just a ton of detail. You know, again, this was not a cheap knife. What was this, $465? But for the amount of machine work that you get and the finishing and all that, it's, you know, I'm really impressed, honestly. This was one of my favorites of 2017, just due to the complexity of the build, the machine work, the execution. I'd always liked the bodegas from afar. I didn't want to drop like $1,200 on one, so this one was honestly like a relative bargain at, you know, $465. The primary difference is that the bodega uses a bolt-on lock here that like attaches to the back spacer or the frame. No, it's the back spacer has like a bolt-on lock. Anyways, this one's a standard frame lock with a stainless steel lock insert. It doesn't use that special bolt-on lock that Begg Knives typically uses. So, you know, you should be able to tell the difference, but just in case, like that's like the major thing versus the California shopper or custom versus the overseas built bodega. So between the two, I prefer the bodega because of the machine work, but there were some price differences. $465 versus $350 for the carbon fiber inlay G10. I prefer the styling of the bodega more as well. But I mean, you can't, I mean, the quality of this piece is insane. The fit and finish is fantastic, amazing action. So I don't know that this is everyone's cup of tea stylistically, but anyways, I mean, those are my thoughts of the, you know, the Wee Knives Glimpse versus the Riot Bodega build. So I like them both. I plan to keep both. Don't have any plans to get rid of either. So yeah. So Future Rust and Dust said the Steelcraft Bodegas had an issue with gritty detents initially. He said his had the issue. So I had two. This was the second one I got. The first one was blue and like a black coated blade, and they were both equally as smooth. So I guess I got lucky with my two. But Riot's typically known for really high quality and really good fit and finish. So that's a bummer that you had an issue. Okay. What else do we have going on in the comments? Subframe lock per Todd. So X95 MK220 said it's called a subframe lock per Todd. Yeah, but then ZT also calls theirs a subframe lock, and they have that patented. So I don't know. I mean, it probably doesn't matter what it's called, but it's a cool, you know, it's a cool design, and it's quintessential to, you know, Begg Knives. So it's cool when you have your own lock or whatever. All right, what were some of the other questions that I got? So on Instagram, Knife Nuts Podcast or Metal Levon or Metal Yvonne or Meta Levon asked what I think about the price hikes with like things like the Shaman getting closer to 200. You know, honestly, I'm indifferent to the price hikes. The problem, like, I don't like price hikes, but is that really going to slow me down? Is it going to slow down those of you who are watching? Honestly, not that much. So until like knife, I mean, the other problem too is like when a company hikes a price, like, are they really going to come back and be like, oh, my bad, you know, shouldn't have done that, I'm going to drop the price now, or are they just going to weather the storm? Like, it's very, very, very infrequent that someone comes back and adjusts the prices down. Like, that rarely ever happens in any industry. They'll typically just prefer to weather the storm until people get over it. And, you know, I know, like, obviously inflation, you know, what, on average 3% per year annually for GDP and so forth. But, you know, some of the price hikes, you know, they're jumping like 20 or 30 bucks, which is not a 3% thing. So I think companies need to be smarter about price hikes. They need to do small incremental price hikes instead of price hikes all at once, and it wouldn't piss people off as much. So yeah, they need to have a little bit more business sense with when and how they do the price hikes, because there have been a couple blunders over the years with price hikes. People were really mad when Benchmade did price hikes a couple years ago. It was like overnight everything increased by 30%. They told people, no, these were always the price. Anyways, I won't get into that, but yeah, these companies need to be a lot smarter about price hikes. So it needs to be small, it needs to be incremental, and then they can say, you know, throw out some BS excuse like, oh, we're paying our workers more. Probably not. So anyways, yeah, the problem is I'm not going to slow down with my buying, and most of you guys aren't either. So it's kind of a wash, essentially. Yep. All right, so some of the other questions, D Knives and Dr. Funky said, what knives are you planning on for this year? So I might move this year, and I'm not sure when or if it's going to happen, but if I do, I'll probably end up somewhere in Phoenix, Arizona. And if I'm in Phoenix, the notable knife maker down there is Brad Southard. And so if I live in Phoenix, then I would be probably actively bothering Brad. Not that he knows who I am or cares, but that would be one of my goals, is, you know, buy from a local maker, just like I have here in Utah. So yeah, yep. Let's see. Okay, nothing. All right, and so some of the other ones that I'm really excited for would be the Custom Knife Factory Satori. I still have the Custom Knife Factory Integral, which was their first integral. I love that piece. I think it's phenomenal, and I cannot wait for the Satori from Custom Knife Factory. Whichever limited edition ZTs come out this year, none have been announced yet, but I'll definitely be excited for those when and if they come. Guardian Tactical is an American-based company that I'm very fond of. They're not to everyone's cup of tea, very futuristic, modern looking, but they should have some new models or updates to current models coming in 2018 that I'm very excited for. As far as Spyderco, maybe the Amalgam, which was one of their new releases, assuming it even comes out this year. Customs, Clyde Challinor will probably have some new models this year. I will definitely have an active eye on whatever new models he produces, because I'm a big fan of Clyde's work. Craig Brown, who made my parabolic and my servo, I'd imagine he'll probably have another new model at some point later this year. And then I currently am waiting on a new Arius from Bill Koenig at Koenig Knives. He's making me a special Arius or Arius, whatever. And so I don't know when that one's coming. I'm not bothering him because, you know, I have enough knives and he's got enough work, and so that one will come when it comes. But at some point this year, I'd imagine next couple of months. So anyways, that's what I have coming. That's what I'm excited about. What do you guys have coming, or what are you excited about? Because I'm sure I'm forgetting some things that, who knows, I might still be picking up. So okay. So Bad Rattle saying the action on his snafu is ridiculous. I believe it. I like the quality of Peter Recenti's work. Mr. Gearbear is saying Benchmade and Spyderco had better watch out for the Chinese companies. Yeah. You know, and not even just location, but there are just so many knife companies out now producing knives. I mean, there's like a new company from China like every freaking week. And some of them produce some really high quality stuff. I have a Best Tech Starfighter over in my knife box, and that thing is really nice. And, you know, again, an unknown company coming out of nowhere, swinging pretty hard, dropping some nice knives. And, you know, it's just... there's a lot of knives out there. There's a lot of choices, and, you know, there's like every price point from $20 to, I don't know, $2,000. You can find something pretty good at just about any price point now. So it's getting really competitive. You know, again, is that bubble going to burst? Maybe. I don't know when or if or how, but yeah. Okay. Mr. Gearbear is looking forward to the Isham Zeta. Yeah, Zeta is a cool knife. Looking forward to the Theta as well. I like Elijah's stuff. Sean Ferrier asked thoughts on the Holt Spectre. So Holt Bladeworks is a newer company slash knife maker. You know, same concept as like Grimsmo and Brown Knives. CNC made knives. Quality looks good. I've heard some issues with lockup and so forth. He's probably going to work through that pretty quick, but I mean, it looks decent. Again, these guys are going to have to, like, it's going to get pretty competitive within that space as far as pricing goes. So, All right, let's bring some other stuff in. All right, what some of the other questions from Instagram. Dwight Dowsett1, planning on any mid-techs this year? And to be honest, probably not. I'm over mid-techs. Again, mid-techs is a marketing term. It meant something initially when Ken Onion started using it, meaning, you know, like this one. Some machine work, some handwork. Does this count as a mid-tech? Yeah, because there's actual handwork from Peter Carey in here. Do I price that higher or value that higher? I mean, I personally do, but should you? Maybe, maybe not. The problem is a lot of the knives that are called mid-techs these days are just production knives. And, you know, if they offer something like really solid or really interesting or unique or cool, then that's fine. But most of them is just like, hey, it's a production knife, but we're going to charge you an extra 150 to 200 bucks more because you are under the impression that somehow the quality's better or the maker's put his hands on it, which, you know, if that's not the case, they don't come out and tell you, oh, hey, just so you know, I mean, X, Y, or Z. So I'm over mid-techs. You guys should be too for the most part. Again, some of the production knives that are coming out are the same price, but, you know, they're actually giving you something unique. So you always need to be careful what you're buying. Don't buy anything based on the name or the classification, whether they call it custom or production or custom tech or any of those other bullcrap marketing terms. Like, you need to know what you're buying, and if you get ripped off, that's on you. You need to do your research. So yeah, no mid-techs for me. Nothing. I'm not going to buy anything because it's called a mid-tech. If there's something super interesting and I'm down with the price, then I'll buy it. But for the most part, I'm over mid-techs, and I think most people are as a whole. Now, Peter Carey might have like another production-ish knife coming out, like the 50-50 later this year. I mean, if we were going under what is the commonly accepted definition of a mid-tech, then, you know, maybe that'd be a piece I'd pick up. I mean, I'm interested to see what that build looks like. I've been waiting on that one for months and months and months. So yeah. So hopefully that answered that question. I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same. Okay. Mr. Gerber asked if I've seen the new Chinese company Artisan Cutlery. I have not. I might have to Google that. The name sounds a bit iffy, but if the quality's there. Javis Lai asked, Ferrum Forge Falcon. I haven't bought a Ferrum Forge Falcon, which is one of the other Massdrop drops. Don't really plan to, but I mean, you never know. This was a piece that I was really interested in because of what it represents as far as, I don't know, like a socially acceptable knife that has a clean design and great materials, good price point. This is like the you know, it's kind of like the Swiss, it's kind of like a Victorinox Cadet just, you know, brought to 2018 and in some obscure reference there. I'm going to get beat up for that. But I mean, this is kind of like an everyman knife in a good size, good material. So I really liked kind of the intent of this project, and they sold a crap ton of these as far as I can remember. Like, it's outsold the Falcon and the other model by quite a bit. So I don't know. I like it. I think it's really cool. I like what they're doing. You know, I like the fact that they're actively trying to bring new people into the knife hobby. That is fantastic, and this was a good knife to do that. So, all right. Oh, Mr. Gearbear said his had a total lock failure. Something about bad tang geometry. Huh. Well, I just spine whacked this one. Hopefully that didn't blow out anyone's ears, but so far so good. Sucks to hear about yours. Hopefully, I talked to the guys at Massdrop, and they seem pretty decent. So contact them about some warranty support. I have no doubt they'll take care of you. So, Rick Roja said, "When do you think the next super steel will come along? What steels are you itching to try out? It seems like M390 is moving forward in the knife industry on high-end knives." So I'm not so much like a steel snob. Like, I don't really like, I like a good quality steel. Like, if all my stuff was an M390 grit, I don't have to worry about it. But in terms of like being able to sell crap, right? Being able to be the next hot thing, it's going to be something like Rex 121. Because once M390 becomes commonplace in the knife industry, people will actively look for anything that is deemed better. So I don't know, maybe like Rex 121. Is Maximet still cool? I don't know, maybe. Again, I mean, I have so many knives and I rotate through them so often that I'm not like beating on one knife every single day. I really don't push any of my knives to their full capabilities, and you know, that's fine. I'm not going to try to pretend that I am. No hashtagging use your shit here. Anyways, let's see. So Mike L's getting a custom from Olamic. They're local. Dude, fantastic. Go down to the shop and pick it up. Even if traffic is horrible, that'll make that such a more amazing experience. If you guys live near any custom maker that's making a knife for you, go to their shop and pick it up. Look at the shop, spend a little bit of time with them. I mean, really make it an experience worthwhile, if you can. I mean, again, most of this stuff, like, they're intangible reasons why we buy them, so let's really ramp up on the intangibles while we're there. Okay, Nick's was playing with his Gent. He has a sore thumb from playing with it so much. Saying it's sad that some people have had bad experiences. Yeah, hopefully, you know, again, you know, the hard part is, with any of these knives, I have a sample size of 1. So if I get a really good one and you guys don't, I mean, I really just can't, you know, I can't really speak to that. I can't guess or estimate like what problems you guys might face. You know, a lot of these knives are just pulled off shelves from boxes. Some stuff, you know, people know it's coming to me. Maybe they cherry pick. I don't know. Again, I can't really control that either. Not completely. So this one, you know, again, I ordered a couple months ago. It finally showed up. Other people had it way before me, so there was no cherry picking here. And you know, mine is solid. So, but Massdrop has some other really cool projects coming out soon that I'll be able to share with you guys in the near future. So yeah. Anyways, this one though, they had no idea who the hell I was when I ordered it, but I really like it. Okay. Let's see. Trying to look through the comments real quick. Okay. So Randy Tipton asked if I ever think we'll see a Sebenza flipper. I'm going to say no. And the reason I'm going to say no is because by the time they got around to it, flippers are no longer going to be cool. If they're smart, they'll figure out whatever's coming down the pipeline next after flippers, which I think are going to be like traditional style knives, and they will just head straight there instead, since it's more tailored to their strengths as well anyway. So I don't ever think we'll see a Sebenza flipper from Chris Reeve Knives. So, and I don't really know that it really makes good sense for them to do that, because the other problem is if they make a Sebenza flipper, you know, people are going to put a Sebenza flipper up against all of this excellence already. And if they can't execute to like the same level as like Peter Carey, then they're just going to get crapped on. And everyone's going to tell them they shouldn't have made it, even though everyone had already asked them to make it. So the expectations would be monstrously high. It's not in their current strengths. They don't work with bearings. You know, so I would say that they would probably be smart not to make a flipper, to be honest with you. So that's my opinion. So Alex L saying Brad, the owner of DSK Knives, is in Phoenix. Maybe. I have not really been a fan of DSK Knives. They're just way bigger and way blockier than I prefer. But I don't know. I mean, if I'm down there, maybe he'll have a model someday that changes my mind, assuming I do move down there. So, Ricky Rojas said his Falcon is solid. He's happy with it. So Sean Ferrer, had your hands on the new ZT0609? And the answer is yes. I did get to handle one at Blade Show last year. It is very nice. It's a fantastic size. I think you guys will really like it. Oh, and Mr. Gearbear said that Massdrop is making it right with his gent that had a problem, so that's really good. So Nix was just commenting that Chris Reeve himself said that flipping the Sabenza is bad. Maybe, but I mean, I talked to... So Chris Reeve doesn't really work at Chris Reeve anymore. It's now his son Tim Reeve and his ex-wife, whatever her name is. And Tim was like, you know what? Tim was like, I don't care if you guys like... Tim was like, I don't care if you guys like flick the knife open, just don't be an idiot, was basically what he said. And, you know, that's my opinion as well. Like, if you're, you know, flipping it open using like a whole bunch of wrist action and really wailing on it and you damage it, then yeah, you're a moron. But if you're just opening it with a little bit of thumb strength, flicking it open, I think it'll be fine. And, you know, that's basically what Tim Reeves said as well. So it's nice to hear rational thought out of, you know, the new head of the company, essentially. So, yeah. So JC was asking if there's anything I'm looking forward to from Spyderco this year, and the only thing I can think of is the amalgam, maybe the Smock, which was, you know, that model they did in collaboration with Kevin Smock. It's interesting. It's a compression lock button actuated flipper type of thing, and there's a lot of potential there. It's a unique knife. It's a unique design. I think that looks good. One of the questions on YouTube was from Nate Henneman, and he said, which Shiros do you want? My answer is all of them, but probably the Sigma. I'll probably pick one up this year. And just a couple days ago, I had someone who got a spot from Recon 1 in a lotto for a Sigma, but I just didn't have the funds ready. I've got too much going on right now, so I did not pull the trigger, but hopefully I'll pick one up later this year after I offload some other stuff and free up some funds that way. So we will see. All right. Ricky Roja, what would be a dream knife collab of yours? I don't know. I mean, I've got like 70 something knives, so I've got a lot of knives that I really, really like. I've got a lot of makers that I really like. A dream knife of mine. I would like to see ZT make, well, the deadlock from Grant and Gavin Hawk. I really want to see a ZT deadlock so damn bad, but that's not going to happen for a long time, assuming it ever does happen. I would also like to see a knife company like ZT do justice to a Bob Terzola design. The Bob Terzola collaborations with Spyderco have sucked royally. You know, VG10, G10, like $170 knives. Like, no, you keep that crap. Like, I want to see like a proper Terzola done by ZT, because that dude is getting old, and I honestly don't think he's gonna be able to make knives for too much longer. So let's get like a proper Terzola collab, like limited edition ZT, production ZT. I don't care, but yeah, I mean, pretty much any maker I like, it's just like, hey, I hope you work with ZT at some point, and just really kill it. So, or I mean, Riot does a really good job too. So, but I mean, with ZT's value, like what they charge, I mean, it's really hard to beat ZT. So those are some of my dream collabs from a production knife standpoint, from a custom knife standpoint. I mean, there are a lot of knives that I like, but you know, I get a bit gun shy over like 1200, to be honest. So there's a lot of knives that, again, I really enjoy handling and experiencing and checking out, but I have no intention of owning. There are a lot of customs I feel that way about, you know, like a hot hammered Rexford. I've gotten to handle those like 5 or 6 times, and I really enjoy the experience. But again, I'm not dropping like 6 or 8 grand on a knife. It's just not in the scope of reality at the present time. Maybe in like 5 or 10 years, if I can like triple my income, maybe. But, you know, again, I have a lot of knives. I don't necessarily have to like covet or be like, you know, angry about not owning something. So, yes. All right. So Sage Ethan WT asked if I have a picture of the CKF, the Custom Knife Factory Satori. I don't. You know, Mike from Custom Knife Factory teased pictures, like blurry pictures of the Satori a couple times, like on Instagram, and I knew what it was. I could tell the shape, like I knew exactly what it was, but I have not seen an actual picture yet. Maybe I should bug him to share one with me. I don't know if he will, but I know enough to know that it's coming, and I think it's coming in April, maybe. So, I mean, I'm just super excited to see them execute on that. So I think that'll be great. All right. JC asked, where's a good place to buy Shirogorov? The only authorized dealer in the U.S. is Recon One. You know, if you want to be able to go through Recon One for warranty support and not have to ship directly back to Russia. So yeah, there's that, which makes it a little more difficult. Ooh, thoughts on the CK Line Steel Barlow? I don't know who CK is, but who designed that? The Line Steel Barlow. So there's a retailer who has them on pre-order. I pre-ordered 2 of the Line Steel Barlows. I don't know how long ago. I just remember I pre-ordered 2, like one of them in like white carbon fiber. Maybe CK is the retailer you're mentioning, Zach. Anyway, so I pre-ordered 2 of those Line Steel Barlows. And I don't know when they're coming, or if they're coming. I don't know. But, oh, Collector Knives. Yeah, so Collector Knives was the retailer who had the pre-order on the Line Steel Barlows. I pre-ordered 2 with them. God knows when they're coming, if they're coming. You know, it's a nicer knife than the Benchmade Proper. But the Benchmade Proper, the thing that I found super interesting about that knife is it's like the everyman's slip joint knife. Because it's, you know, again, it's going to sell. It's going to get into the hands of just average Joes who know nothing about knives. Like, they're going to walk into a gun shop and they're going to walk out with a Benchmade Proper, and they're going to beat the crap out of that knife. So that's the thing that really interests me about Benchmade as a whole, is just their ability to get knives in the hands of people who are not knife people. It's really interesting to kind of follow that and see what they do and the people who pick them up. So JCS, what's the latest with Grimsmo? Don't know. Don't follow him. So no idea. And then X95MK220 says he really loves Enrique Peña's work, and I'd agree. His stuff is really good. So yeah. So anyways, I think that's about it. I don't have anything else on the table necessarily. I've got a bunch of videos that I'm behind on videos, guys. I've got a bunch of videos that I need to do, but life has been so busy lately. Just got a lot going on, which is good and bad, of course. But, you know, if I do have a move coming up, then things are going to get way crazier for a little while there. So, I don't know. I'm waiting to hear back. I should hear back in like the next week or so, which is just grinding on me as I sit here trying to figure out, am I moving, am I staying, and all that craziness. Man, I really like this knife. So anyways, this again was the knife that Blade HQ hid in this box, in the Barney box, and the Barney puppet this week. What we got going on? And Barney is trying to seduce you with a Rockstead knife, or he's trying to shank a fool. I'm not quite sure, but yeah. Model number, or I'm sorry, the Blade HQ item number, the model, the price, and the excellence. So I need a Rockstead. I need a Shiro. I need a lot of things. Guys, who has a trust fund that they want to give me? Anyone have a trust fund? I need a trust fund. If you're going to make YouTube videos about knives, or knife videos on YouTube, ideally you'd have a trust fund. So all the time in the world and the money to blow to do it. But alas, we go on. So, all right, any last questions? So Mr. Go Bear said that those line still borrows were supposed to be out by January 15th. Yeah, that didn't happen. So, yeah. All right, we'll probably cut it off there. I'm hungry. You guys are, I don't know, probably eating while I'm talking, so that's always good. But thanks so much for tuning in. So you can follow me, if you're not already, on Instagram. I post crap daily, and then I should be uploading some more videos this next week to YouTube with increasing regularity. So a lot of good stuff that I need to do videos on, like the Gent. I need to go into more detail on the 50/50 here. And yeah, oh, someone take this away from me, please. Oh, so smooth. All right, putting it down. All right, guys. Again, have a good night. Be safe. Happy upcoming weekend, and see you guys soon.